everyone for my appearance, but yeah.
Okay, no problem. All right, everyone's coming, filing in. Welcome, everyone.
Let
Welcome,
me let
welcome.
me maybe take the patch off. Just
Nah, put the patch back.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just doing it because I'm not supposed to touch or rub
Shalom.
it. That's what the doc writes.
Yeah, no, cover it and
Yeah,
and keep it. You got to keep it warm.
that's what
Compresses.
I'm doing.
Shalom,
Yeah,
shalom.
yeah. Okay.
Shalom, everyone. So you can see that our rabbi has become a pirate, and there's actually a very interesting book called Jewish Pirates. There's a long history of Jewish pirates. Shalom, Faith. Hello. And no, he's not actually imitating a pirate. He has a little eye problem and he's keeping it under cover, under wraps while he goes to see the doctor tomorrow. So let's all well wish him a good we wish him
Or
the
maybe I'm just
best
doing
of
an
health.
Odin Maybe I'm just doing my Odin impression in honor of Faith and Lowland.
So, if you want to dedicate your Torah study to someone or something, go ahead and drop it in the chat. This is another segment. We're going to talk a little bit about all yeah, we'll do the usual. Why don't you start with the bracha, and after the bracha,
Sure.
I'll do a summary, and then we'll get right into
All
it. We're
right.
gonna do something a little different today, but we'll get into that afterwards.
That
Just
sounds
for the
good.
bracha.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך אשר בחר בין מכל העמים ונתן לנו תורתו וברכת אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Notain HaTorah. Notain HaTorah. So I just want to point out, everybody, Notain is to give. Notain HaTorah. So we're saying to give the Torah. That's the last year. It's give the Torah. So Notain HaTorah. So I want to point out. Let's take another word that we know. Yah, which is, of course, the first half of the tetragrammaton, right?
Right.
Right? Right? Yah, notain, the giver, Yah, the giver, or giver of Yah, Yah, notain, Jonathan, haha, Yah, notain, Jonathan. There you go. Just letting you show you how those names are derived. All those names, Elijah and Jonathan, and all of those names are usually some form, some derivation of a holy name or concept. And now we have Yaakov, the heel, and we were starting off at what was it? It's Genesis, blah 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 blah. Where are we, everybody? It's Vayishlach. Vayishlach is the parsha,
And he
uh,
sent. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
And he sent.
Genesis
Yeah.
32:4 through 30. It's a long one. Through 36:42. My goodness. It's a long one. And it starts off. Let's do a little bit of a summary. And I've got an answer for you. Um, the summary is this. It starts off with a very famous story, which we're probably not even going to get a chance to even get beyond, right? So it starts off with Jacob returns home and he has to face his past. He's preparing to meet his estranged brother, Esau, and after, oh my goodness, I'm gonna how do I turn my AirPods off? I have to turn those off. Sorry, everyone. There. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. Oh,
You can hear me? All right.
yeah.
So yeah, so they've been separated for 20 years, and he's really fearful that he's going to have that his brother's going to be really mad. We already talked about why, because of the whole birthright thing, and so he splits his camp into two, and he sends some messengers ahead to like smear his brother, right, to try and give him some gifts. And then there's this mysterious battle that happens in the night with a mysterious figure, which is probably the topic that we'll not even get a chance to get off of topping. A wrestling match with this figure. Is it a man? Is it Esau? Is it Esau's guardian spirit? Is it God itself? We with lots of questions. Okay, and of course his name gets changed to Jacob to Israel, one who wrestles with God. Okay, and he emerges. He's limping. He gets injured in the hip, which Rabbi is going to talk a little bit about. Then there's the reconciliation with Esau. They finally meet, and what do you know? Esau is not so mad, and the brothers embrace, and then we're going to talk about that because this is where the kiss happens, right? This is where okay, and Rabbi wanted to know last week how the kiss turned into this whole midrash about biting the neck, and I have the answer. Ha ha! Ha ha! So, and then there's this business with Dinah and the city of Shechem. And so Jacob's daughter is Dinah. She's a very interesting person. Dinah is ensouled with the soul of a man. Okay, so she's one of like the Isaac is ensouled with the soul of a woman, according to the Zohar, and Dinah is ensouled with the soul of a man. So, but there's this. She gets violated, and there's. I want to. You should listen to last year, the Parsha last year, where we talked about that. And Simon and Levi employ this ruse where they in revenge they get the men to circumcise themselves, and then they're in their weakened condition. They run in and they attack all the men, and they for in response. And then there is the return to Bethel, and then there's the death of Rachel and Isaac. Rachel dies in childbirth, giving birth to Benjamin, the werewolf. Um, uh, as we've talked about before. And then there's let's see, the discussions of the generations of Esau, which are Edomites, and I think Edomites are usually equated to the Roman Empire, typically in the Talmud, is my understanding. Would that be? Do you have author any corrections, Rabbi?
No, no, no. But I did find, if you want me to just quickly interpolate something, I did
Yeah.
find the source material for that. Rashi in interpreting the kiss when Esav kissed Yaakov, interpreting Rashi doesn't bring in any indication that it was anything other than a brotherly reconciliation, that it was a kiss.
Okay.
And the various commentators discuss, oh, well, was the kiss genuine? And some say, oh, it was just a temporary change of heart, but he went right back to hating Yaakov. There's a principle in.
Well, why don't we read to everybody what it says, and then let's tell them what they're talking about, right? So
Okay,
the
go
two
ahead.
brothers, the two brothers are estranged, right? And now they reunite, and so we're going to skip past the figure story, the wrestling story, for just a second, and we're going to focus on this kissing business. This happens at the reconciliation, okay? And there's a reconciliation between the two, and specifically the word for kiss is used, right?
Right.
in
Vayishlach is actually the word.
in the Torahs,
Right.
okay?
Vayishlach, and he
And,
kissed.
but we've all talked about the fact that there are these midrashes, there, where rabbis say that the kiss was not really a kiss; he was trying to bite him, and just as he was trying to bite his brother because he's a vampire, his brother's neck turned to stone, and all of Esau's teeth fell out. And so this is where we're at last week, and this is where we've been at before. And so the rabbi pondered aloud why this business with the biting when it clearly says kiss, right? It uses the word for kiss, correct?
Yeah, the Midrash takes this thing that dots over the word Vayishkehu, that they place these dots over it. The
Yes.
dots are indicative that it wasn't a genuine kiss. And to my former colleagues from my yeshiva, please forgive me, but that just doesn't
So what
it just
rabbi
doesn't
is
wash
telling
too
you,
easily. The
what the
dots
rabbi
mean
is
that it was a
telling
bite
you is,
instead of a kiss.
if you look at the original Torah and you look at how it was written and you look at the printing, there are dots, okay? And he's saying that Rashi, the sage, it tells us that when you look at the original Torah, there are dots for no reason over each letter of the word to kiss. And it's the only word in the Torah like that. So they pondered, why is it like that? Is it like, because they didn't have grammar then, like what, no grammatical notation like we have now, like quotes. Like, is it a kiss? Like in quotes? Did he try to do something else? Is it some sort of word that we don't know what it is? And this is where they went off that it was not a genuine kiss. It might have been a bite. And then the rabbis were like, what? And they were really trying to explain, why are there a bunch of dots over this word, right? This is
Yeah,
correct.
that's it. And this was one of the last explanations. I always wanted to just read the story. And when I was in yeshiva, I remember, I mean, I debated with my teachers in yeshiva. I debated on this subject that why can't we just read it the pshat? It was a story of brotherly reconciliation. There's this concept, Esav sonali Yaakov, that Esav hates Yaakov, and the descendants of Esav will hate Yaakov, and they use that to explain. Actually, they use it to explain anti-Semitism. That it's in the teva of the descendants of Esav. It's in their nature. It's inherently part of their nature to hate Yaakov. And my answer to that was baloney. It's not in the nature of anyone to hate anyone else. It's not my nature to hate anyone. And Emmett, I don't have any antipathy. I don't care what ethnicity or religion a person belongs to. I've met wonderful people who are I've met wonderful people who are Christian. I've met wonderful people who are pagan. I've met wonderful people who are Muslim. I've met wonderful people who are Buddhist. I've met people who are French. No, not that. But anyway, okay, scratch the last one. Bad example. French Canadians, no. But anyway, I've met wonderful people from every group. It's not in anyone's nature inherently or innately to hate anyone else. Just my opinion.
Yes, Mark Gilmore says you have to learn hate, and I agree. You do.
Ah, ha, ha, Mark Gilmore. Two thumbs up for Mark Gilmore. Let's have
Right.
a round of applause for Mark. That's it,
Yeah.
Mark.
You
You
have to
pinned
learn
it, my
hate.
friend.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If you see put a bunch of children in together, they're just playing together, and that's it. That's
Margot is giving you a round of applause. I see up
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. So, so someone asked, why is it interpreted on a similar note? Why do they say Jacob was incensed in 31:36? In 31:36. Oh, that's very early. That's not in this parsha. We're we're way ahead. That's a different area. Let's see. That's in Vayishlach. Okay, so that that that's we can try and get back get uh get back to that. Jacob grievances of Von Wine pursue me. Yeah, I can't I can't address that right now. I'll have to touch it. Okay, and then Faith asks, can we touch on 32 33, which is 32 32 33, which is yeah. Uh Jacob raised his eyes and saw, behold, Esau was coming, and with him were 400 men. So he divided, this is what we were talking about, the children among Leah and Rachel and the two handmaids. And he put the handmaids and the children first, and Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. And then he himself went on ahead of them, and he bowed earthward 7 times until he reached his brother. And this is where you go. This is the next line is exactly Esau ran towards him, embraced him, and fell on his neck, quote, and kissed him, and they wept. And they raised his eyes and they saw the women and children, and he asked, who are these? Who are these to you? Oh, 32 33. That's the wrong verse, but that was the one that we're talking about before. Okay, 32 33. You want I don't there is no 32 33. Faith. But we're going to talk about this angel. I want to talk about this angel story. In your copy, there is a 32 33. Well, what's the line? Let me unmute you. How do we unmute you? Okay, unmute you and let's pin. What do you have to say? What are your questions, Faith?
Hi.
Hi.
Now I have the new JPS translation.
Yes.
And it says here, that is why the children of Israel to this day do not eat the thigh muscle that is on the socket of the hip, since Jacob's hip socket was wrenched at the thigh muscle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's called the Git
Yes.
Hanosha.
Oh,
The Git
Chapin
Hanosha is the
Walton,
sciatic nerve.
yeah, Chapin Walton just put it up. That's very confusing to me.
Yeah.
Could you please explain that? What are they talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Rabbi, do you want to take a shot at it? Or you want me to take a
Well, this
shot?
Malach this Malach, perhaps an angel. There are different commentaries on it. Had a wrestling match with Jacob and with Yaakov. The Torah specifies that it was an angel that wrestled with him, and during that wrestling match, that's actually when he became Israel. That's when he had like a spiritual elevation. He wrestled with the angel, and during that wrestling match, his thigh muscle, the thigh, whatever that is, what we're talking about,
Yeah.
the socket, right,
Was injured.
was injured, and that they call it the Gid Hanosha. The Gid Hanosha is, I think they just call it in English the sciatic nerve. Am I correct on that?
Yes. Yes.
Sciatic nerve, right?
Yes. And they
So,
believe
right.
it correlates to
So,
sciatic.
in memory of that wrestling match between between Yaakov and Hulk Hogan. I mean the Malach, the angel.
Yeah.
We don't eat from the Gid Hanasha. We don't eat
So,
from this.
so, so that part is we cut that part out. That part is not kosher, is what he's saying. So
that kosher. Okay, that's what I was asking.
So
Yes.
it ends up playing a big role essentially in our daily life in the kosher laws. And you bring me to a wonderful story. So I want to talk a little bit about Legends of the Jews by Louis Ginsburg. Okay, this book, I've talked about it many times before. It is a compendium of Jewish lore, and it was used by Clarence Darrow in the Scopes monkey trial as the definitive Jewish stance on the Bible. And so it also has a lot of compression of Talmudic stories and has assembled everything into kind of a retelling. And it has a telling about this particular incident that we were just talking about, the wrestling match. And I think it's worthwhile reading to you. Okay. So pull up a chair and let's have some story time if you might like, because I'm going to read you what Ginsburg has to say in his book about wrestling with the angel. Now, Rabbi says Malach, but I believe in Torah it does not say Malach. It says figure.
There's a whole. It goes all over the place with exactly who he was wrestling.
It just says figure. It says Aish. He looks up and I think he sees a figure, and exactly. Whether or not there's lots of midrashes, lots of
Meforshim. One says it was Triple H. One said it was Undertaker. One said it was Hulk Hogan. One said it was all
right. That's
all
true.
over the place.
One says God. One says that it was an angel. One says right. So there's there's discussion, and so this is one of the many opinions. Is this story okay? So I'm going to tell you this is a great story. Okay. The servants of Jacob went, it's called Jacob Wrestles with the Angel. Ta-da. What do you know?
Yeah.
The servants of Jacob went before him with the present for Esau, and he followed with his wives and his children, just what we discussed. And as he was about to pass over the ford of Yabuk, he observed a shepherd who likewise had sheep and camels. Now, this is not in the Torah. This is more interesting. The stranger approached Jacob and proposed that they should form the stream. They should cross the stream together, and they should help each other move their cattle over. And Jacob assented on the condition that he get his possessions put across first. In a twinkling of an eye, Jacob's sheep were transferred to the other side of the stream by the shepherd. And then the flocks of the shepherd were moved by Jacob. But no matter how many he took over to the opposite bank, there always remained some on the hither shore. There was no end to the cattle, though Jacob had labored all night through. At last he lost his patience, and he fell on the shepherd and caught him by the throat, crying out, "O thou wizard at night, no enchantment succeeds." Have you heard this story, Rabbi?
No.
Okay. The angel thought, aha, see, it's an angel. The angel thought, very well. Let him know once and for all with whom he has had dealings. And with his finger he touched the earth, and whence fire burst forth. But Jacob said, "What? Thou thinkest thus to affright me, who am made holy of fire?" So Jacob says, "What? I'm made of fire." Well, it's kind of a weird thing to say. The shepherd was no less a personage than the archangel Michael, and in his combat with Jacob, he was assisted by the whole host of angels under his command. He was at the point of inflicting a dangerous wound upon Jacob when God appeared, and all the angels, even Michael himself, felt their strength ooze away. Seeing that he could not prevail against Jacob, the archangel touched the hollow of his thigh and injured him. And God rebuked him, saying, dost thou act is seemly? What thou causest a blemish in my priest Jacob? Michael said in astonishment, Why, it is I am thy priest. But God said, Thou art my priest in heaven. He, Jacob, is my priest on earth. And thereupon Michael summoned the archangel Raphael, saying, My comrade, I pray thee, help me out of my distress, for thou art charged with the healing of all disease. And Raphael cured Jacob of the injury that Michael had inflicted. Now, I think in the Torah, he walks with a limp. He continues to walk with a limp. So I'm not sure where this is going here. The Lord continued to reproach Michael, saying, Why didst thou do harm to my firstborn son? And the archangel answered, I did only to glorify thee. And then God appointed Michael as the guardian angel of Jacob and to all his seed unto the end of all generations with these words, Thou art a fire, and so is Jacob a fire. Thou art the head of the angels, and he is the head of the nations. Thou art supreme over all the angels, and he is supreme over all the peoples. Therefore, he is supreme over all the angels shall be appointed to him who is supreme over all the peoples, that he may entreat mercy for him, for the supreme one over all. And then Michael said unto Jacob, How is it possible that thou couldst prevail against me, the most distinguished of all angels? Art afraid of Esau? So they're obviously having a conversation like, hey, Jacob, how come you're afraid of Esau and you're not afraid of me? I love this. This is awesome. Okay. When the day broke, Michael said to Jacob, Let me go, for the day breaketh. But Jacob held him back. See, they wrestle all through the night is what happens. And the angel in the story won't tell Jacob his name. Jacob asks the Malach, the figure, his angel, his name, but he won't tell him. Okay? So when the day broke, Michael said to Jacob, Let me go, for the day breaketh. But Jacob held him back, saying, Art thou a thief or a gambler with dice, that thou fearest the daylight? At that moment appeared many different hosts of angels, and they called unto Michael, Ascend, O Michael, the time of the song had come. If thou art not in heaven to lead the choir, none will sing. And Michael entreated Jacob with the supplications to let him go, for he feared the angels of Arabat would consume him with fire, if he were not there to start the songs of praise at the proper time. Jacob said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. Whitherto Michael made reply, Who is greater than the servant or the son? I am the servant, and thou art the son. Why then cravest thou my blessing? Jacob urged as an argument, the angels that visited Abraham did not leave without his blessing him, but Michael held they were sent by God for that very purpose, and I was not. Yet Jacob insisted upon his demand, and Michael pleaded with him, saying, the angels that betrayed a heavenly secret were banished from their place for 138 years. Dost thou desire I should acquaint thee with what would cause my banishment likewise? In the end, the angel nevertheless had to yield. Jacob could not be moved, and Michael took counsel with himself thus: I will reveal a secret to him, and if God demands to know why I revealed it, I will make my answer. Thy children stand upon their wishes with thee, and thou dost yield to them. How then could I have left Jacob's wish unfulfilled? And then Michael spoke to Jacob, saying, a day will come when God will reveal himself unto thee, and he will change thy name, and I shall be present when he changeth it. And thy name shall be called Jacob no more, but Israel. For happy thou of woman born, who didst enter the heavenly palace, didst escape thence with thy life. And Michael blessed Jacob with thy words. May it be the will of God that thy descendants are as pious as you. Let's see, almost done. At the same time, the archangel reminded Jacob that he had promised to give a tithe of his possession unto God. And at once Jacob separated 550 head of cattle from his herds, which counted 5,500. Then Michael went on, but thou hast sons, and of them thou hast not set apart the tenth. Jacob proceeded to pass his sons in review. Reuben, Joseph, Dan, and Gad, being the firstborn, each of his mother, were exempt, and they remained but 8 sons. And when he had named them down to Benjamin, he had to go back and begin over again with Simon, the 9th, and finish with Levi as the 10th. And Michael took Levi with him into heaven and presented him before God, saying, O Lord of the world, this one is thy lot, and the 10th belonging unto thee. And God stretched forth his hand and blessed Levi with the blessing that his children should be servants of God on earth, as the angels were his servants on high. And Michael spoke again, doth not a king provide for the sustenance of his servants? Whereupon God appointed for the Levites that all was holy unto the Lord. And then Jacob spoke to the angel. My father conferred the blessing upon me that was intended for Esau, and now I desire to know whether thou wilt acknowledge the blessing as mine, or wilt thou bring charges against me on account of it? And the angel said, I acknowledge the blessing to be thine right, and thou did not gain it by craft and cunning. And this is what I was arguing last year. And that all thy heavenly powers recognize it to be valid, and thou hast shown thyself the master over mighty powers of the heavens, as over Esau over his legions. Okay? And even then, Jacob would not let the angel depart. He had to reveal his name to him first, and the angel made known to him that it was Israel, the same name that Jacob once bare. At last the angel departed after Jacob had blessed him, and Jacob called the place of wrestling Penuel, the same place for which he had been given the name Mahanaim. For both the words have one meaning, a place of encounter with angels. So, Rabbi, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are first of all, I wanted to acknowledge. I was looking at the chats here, and we have Kat Hansen
Oh,
accurately observed. This
Legends
book
of the
from the
Jews.
Legends of the Jews by Ginsburg, right? Because someone
Yes.
was asking what book you're reading from, and Mark Gilmore seconded that. Okay,
Yeah.
I was not familiar with this story honestly until you read it to me. I don't have Mark Ginsburg's book. I'm motivated now to pick it up and see what else is in there.
Well, I'll tell you that it is a 5 or 6 volume compendium, and they often sell them only as like 5 volumes, and there's an extra volume. You have to get it on eBay, the extra volume. The extra volume, you can get this book for free on sacredtext.org, but the problem is that it doesn't have the last, even on the internet. It doesn't, even on the internet, I've never seen the very last volume. And the very last volume is extremely useful to have because it's like an index and it helps you find all the stuff that you're looking for. So really, honestly, this is where people, I'm telling you, this is where AI is gonna let you down, right? This is going to be the difference between being an expert and being an AI person. An expert actually goes to the book, because not every book is going to be. I'm telling you,
Right.
it's just not. So you got to go. I mean, and you can see this copy is like, when this copy printed, it's out of print. Um, um, Ninth impression, 25,000. It's published by Jewish Publication Society of America. Oh gosh, I'm still looking for the copyright. I'm sorry. It's probably in the first pages of volume 1. This is volume 2, obviously.
That part you read about craft and cunning, it wasn't through craft and cunning. So that was the Malach talking to Yaakov, who was to become Yisrael, right?
Yeah, because
What's interesting thing about Yaakov and the story of Yaakov and Esav, though, the Bechor and the Bracha,
right,
the birthright
because
and
I argued last year that there was a little bit of shenanigans, and Aaron, my cousin, was very defensive of it, and
the same thing, of course, because that's not, they honestly, I understand the Gemara, but the point is that one thing that people have to understand is that in the Talmud and in Jewish tradition, it says that tzaddikim, that the righteous, are judged kachutzara, to a hair's breadth, daki dakut. In other words, a very stringent, exacting level. And what they do is they always try to whitewash. You go through the entire Jewish Tanakh, the Jewish Bible, the Tanakh.
Sure, yeah, everybody wants their heroes to look good, and
right.
Yeah,
there's this whitewashing job that's even David, King David. Okay, I mean,
yeah, right.
David, King David, right? He takes this man's wife.
I know.
Sends him into battle to get killed. And takes his wife, and it was his turn to go into battle, and she was 100% permitted. It wasn't a sin at all. Chas v'sholom, Rabbi. David Backlash, are you out of your mind that you could say that he was committing a sin? No, he says he committed a sin. My sin is constantly before me. King David himself says it.
Yeah.
So, I don't like this whitewashing business that goes on. I'm saying, one of the most beautiful messages of the Torah, of the Jewish Bible, is that, you know what? We're all fallible.
We're fallible.
All human beings.
Yeah.
We all can make mistakes. And you know what? Making those mistakes doesn't separate and say, I'm screwed. I give up. God, I'm just a POS. Give up on me. No. no matter who you are, where you are, or what faith system you ascribe to, you say, you know what? I believe that I'm here because God has a purpose for me.
Well,
And we say in the old Kabbalist that God created us individually, should call Yomar, so that everyone should say, Bishvili never olam, for my sake was the world created. Apply that to each and every one of you.
so
Faith McCann, Mark Gilmore, Lowland, Mark Kendig, every single one of you, I want you to say right now, this entire universe was created for
for
Dr.
me,
Jeremy Rice. This entire universe was
not for
created for
me, for
Lolan.
you,
Lolan, right. This entire
for
universe was
you.
created for Faith McCann. You
That's
know,
right.
every single person out there, God, God, universe, use what I believe in God. You want to call it the universe, you want to call it miracle, magic, or macaroni and cheese. I don't get hung up on labels. The fact of the matter is, whoever you are, you're an indispensable part of creation. That's it. Flaws and all, okay? I mean, nobody, nobody. The Torah points out that even Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Even Moses, it wasn't perfect. He struck the
Right. That's what
rock
I
and
was
said
gonna
it's
say. Even Moses, and Rabbi,
Abraham exposed his wife to the possibility of adultery. King David with his thing. Abraham, he lied to the king and said, "Oh, that's my sister," because he was afraid to say it was his wife, thinking that the king would kill him and take his wife, right? So he said, "It's my sister." Nachmanides, the Ramban, said that it was a sin. He says, "No, Pasha, it was wrong." What Abraham?
Abraham does that, but it's your rabbi. My daughter was in town over Thanksgiving. Oh gosh, everybody. Oh, I gotta tell you something. I gotta tell you two things. Okay, my daughter's in town over Thanksgiving, and and I showed her the movie Oh God, which we all here watched, I think, in Discord. Remember? And John Denver is there, and he's like, "Why me? Why me?" And he's like, "Why not you?" And he's like, "I'm no Moses." And he's like, "Yeah, well, neither was Moses until Moses became Moses. He was just a guy, just like you,
Right.
So it's like, you're not as good as some people. You're better than others. So
But the Torah points out the flaws of all of the Gedolei Israel, the great people of Israel, all of the even the greatest people, points out the flaws and the mistakes. And I think what we can learn from that is we shouldn't be demoralized by our flaws and mistakes. Our flaws and mistakes are part of what make us who we are. Lolan mentioned a Star Trek episode, and I remember that episode where the two men were fighting in the real world and in subspace, and each one said, "Oh, the other one's mad," and then the other one said the other one's evil. And the fact of the matter is that they battled. He said he compared it to the story of Yaakov and the battling with the Malach Michael. But anyway, no, yeah. But that's very observant. Lowland points that out.
yeah,
But
that's
I always thought of it more as He-Man and Skeletor, but that's another. I don't.
well, I mean, I yeah, they wrestle until dawn, and one of them has great concerns, and so that's about dawn coming, and that's one of the reasons that again, you've got rabbis going down these midrashes about like, well, why is he so concerned about dawn coming? And maybe he can't. Maybe this is a type. Maybe this is Samael. Maybe this is an angel that gets chased away by dawn. So by the sunlight, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Mark says that he values the honesty and humanness of it all. I think Mark Kendig kind of like focused on the point that I was making, though, that with the Torah, all of the faults and foibles of the great people, that's it.
yeah, they're in there.
It's presenting
They're
it in very
jealous.
honest, emistic terms, and it's presenting them as human beings. Mark, you're right. It's the honesty and humanism, is presenting them as who they are, human beings. These
Yeah.
Hashem gave the Torah to humans. He didn't give it to the malachim. He didn't give it to the angels. He gave it to humans. And that's it. So the point is that human beings, with all of our faults and foibles and this and that, and our imperfections, we say, I'm saying, yeah, okay, you strive to do better, but no one will
So
ever say because of mistakes they made that it somehow diminishes them as a person, because it's the mistakes that were made. I mean, look at Yaakov in the story this week. Okay,
yeah,
actually, it goes on that he goes on with a limp. Right now, I know
right.
the story brings in, he summons the angel Raphael, and Raphael relates to the word refuah, healing, because
Refuah,
Raphael is in
yes.
charge of healing, to heal it. But actually, it says that he goes on with a limp. So the question is Yaakov could say, you know what, I got this limp the rest of my life now. Was it such a bright idea to wrestle with this angel? Because now I've got this limp. But it's only through wrestling with the angel that he went from being Yaakov to Yisrael, that he underwent this change of names in the Torah. It happens from Avram to Avraham. It
Well,
always indicates going up.
this name change, which is one who wrestles with God,
Right.
right? Or is it's wrestle or struggle,
Struggle, right.
struggles with God. I struggle. It symbolizes I struggle with God. I struggle with
Of course.
faith all the time. I struggle with believing. I struggle I struggle with God all the time. And so it's to me, I find it incredibly relatable. Oh, I got to throw this in because we're going to go soon. And I got to throw this in as something humorous about Thanksgiving, actually. I realized, and maybe some of you have seen some of this going on. You know, I should open it up, or you can put it in the chat. Okay. Does anybody know why we Americans eat turkey on Thanksgiving? I'm going to illustrate the difference between Jewish holiday thinking, like how we construct holidays and gematria and mysticism, and then Americans. Okay. All right. Well, what we've got here in America,
Shiloh. I didn't hear the Shiloh. The question.
the question is we have Thanksgiving. Why turkey? Why do we eat turkey on Thanksgiving?
There's a machloket between Abaye and Rav on that. There's one opinion that says it can be referred to any fault. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's.
I don't think the rabbis Abaye and Rav knew about Thanksgiving.
It's gonna be something about our history, right? And maybe Ben Franklin and blah 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 or whatever. But you're right. You don't know, right? You don't know.
You make it. I made a joke because in yeshiva, I tell you, this is a true story. There were two other Irish Jews in my yeshiva, Yamin Conley and Aryeh McTavish, and that was in Chavetz Chaim. And poor Neil Dublinsky, who was an attorney who got tossed in with us. The joke was they thought he was an Irish Jew because of his name Dublinsky, Dublinsky, but he wasn't. But anyway, he got tossed in when we were rooming. We boarded in rabbinical seminary. We were roommates. Anyway, Connolly and McTavish and we used to talk about this as a situation like in Ireland. Do you realize in Ireland, one of the hottest selling things, we're coming up on Hanukkah, right? One of the hottest selling items this time of year were menorahs, Hanukkahs. The Hanukkah menorah that we light, the candles to celebrate Hanukkah. That was one of the hottest selling items in Ireland around this time of year because Irish people who were ascribed to different faith systems, they're not Jewish, they liked the menorah. That became adopted. You can look it up online. It was like one of the hottest selling items. Like when this is in years past. I don't know what it's not like today, but menorahs were a big business in Ireland. And what's interesting is, many of my friends who ascribe to different faith systems, I'd love to hear Lowland and Faith McCann and people who ascribe to different faith systems weigh in on this. Because I mean, I think Faith McCann, her holidays would be like Beltane, Mabon, maybe
Well,
Samhain, Lunasa.
I,
She would have different holidays, and these
I want to hear
holidays,
that too, but I want to make this point about
right?
this a little bit about you know, like Turkey, you know, the difference between how a Jew would construct Thanksgiving and
So the difference is this: the way in Judaism, what was the difference between the way the Greeks observed their holidays and Jews observed their holidays? Hanukkah. Let's look at the Hanukkah story. We got Hanukkah coming up next week, right? Sunday,
uh-huh.
a week from Sunday. What was the story with Hanukkah? Okay, fine. They said, you know what? Go ahead and observe your holiday. They desecrated the temple, but they didn't destroy the oil. What they did is they took the vials of oil and they opened them to render them unfit for use. But they didn't destroy. They didn't.
Okay, wait. Before you go on this, listen. You're proving my point exactly right now.
Okay.
Do you know why we eat turkey on Thanksgiving? Yes or no?
No, I have no idea why we. Well, I mean, historically,
okay, good. Okay, good. Just stop right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were about to go on a 15-minute thing about how we with the oil and the 8 days and the meaning and da.
Right.
But when I ask you why a turkey, okay, for the American holiday, you go, I don't know. And I think most Americans also would probably answer in the same way as you. And I would like to point out this kind of difference, okay? Rabbi, what is the Hebrew word for turkey? What do you know?
No.
Oh, the Hebrew word
is for fowl or both oath, but
hodot.
Yeah.
Hodot is the Hebrew word for
todah, hodot. To thankfulness. Yeah.
Aha. So the Hebrew word for turkey is hodot, right? And hodot also means
thankfulness.
To be thankful, gratitude. Okay, gratitude. And it's Thanksgiving. And if you were Jewish, you'd say it's Thanksgiving. And this is why we eat turkey, because the word for turkey is the same word as, how many times have you heard? And the reason that we eat blah, 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 is because it's the same, it begins with an R, and it's the same construction. Got it? So I wanted to show, if a Jew had designed Thanksgiving, now we have a reason for turkey.
You know what's interesting about that, what you just said? The word, when we wake up in the morning, the first blessing we say is Modani levanecha melech chai v'kayam, shechazat b'nishpatim echem l'rabba monetecha. We're thanking God for restoring our soul, our neshama. In the Gemara, it says that sleep is 1/60th of death. So when we wake up, it's like techiyat hametim. It's like resurrection. We're coming back to life, right? I get up in the morning. It's like I'm basically being resurrected from the dead. And then, my wife knows, I'm stumbling out into the kitchen, coffee, like a zombie. But the thing is that we thank God every morning. The idea is that we don't set aside a day to thank God. It's like, this is Thanksgiving. We're going to be thankful on this day. And like I said, I use the word God. People who ascribe to different faith systems, I'm not in any way marginalizing you. I use the word God. You want to use the word universe or whatever other word you want to use, knock yourselves out. But the thing that says, I thank God every morning for restoring my soul. I don't set aside a particular day for that. And it's just kind of interesting, what Dr. Jeremy was saying is that he's right. If a Jew had invented that holiday, we'd make the connection between the Hebrew word for turkey, which relates to hodah. Hodah is to be thankful or grateful or acknowledge. I'm thanking God for restoring.
Right? It's funny. It's like it's exactly right. It's what would make sense, sort of Jewish gematria wise.
Right.
We would have put those two things together. I can see Rashi writing a whole thing about it, or Maimonides or whatever, writing a whole thing about how these two words relate, and this is why we do
As
it.
soon as you gave me the Hebrew word for turkey, I said, of course it's the word for turkey, but I never made the connection between hodah or todah, todah, hodah, to be thankful. In Hebrew, you want to say thank you, you say todah rabah, thank you very much. But I never made that connection between the Hebrew word for turkey and the name Thanksgiving. Of course, that's not the reason it's called Thanksgiving.
Right, it's not the
It's
reason.
a very interesting. You can make a really strong argument for it.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of it illustrates something. It's kind of an illustrative, right? Like, yeah, it's sometimes arguments are so appealing that they are believable, and
Yeah,
that's very dangerous. That the argument is so appealing that you want to believe it. That's dangerous.
that was. You know what? That's the discussion we had one time about people that want to say. And like I said, I do Kabbalistic tarot readings, but there are people, scholars, Jewish scholars, that want to say, "Oh, the tarot was invented by Kabbalists." No, it wasn't.
Right. Right.
No.
That's right.
I would love to believe that.
I would
I
love
would
that to be
eagerly
true.
embrace it. And I would say, yes, Arthur Edward Waite. I mean, many of the early Antoine Court de Gabellin and many of the early pioneers in the divinatory uses of tarot were schooled or had some knowledge of Kabbalah and incorporated that into the imagery on the Rider-Waite-Smith deck and the Thoth, Tota, however you want to say it, Aleister Crowley's deck. And they incorporated that imagery, and then people look at it, just like Dr. Jeremy's pointing out the word turkey in Hebrew and the word Hadah, and saying, oh, there. And they look at the, oh, look, they've got the Yud K Vav K on the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, look, the High Priestess is holding a Torah scroll.
That's right. You have to be careful about an argument being too beautiful. Yeah.
But look at go back to the Visconti Sforza or the Solabusca or the really earliest decks before it became a divinatory tool, when it was just a card game known as Tarocchi in Italy, and you don't find any of that. The whole argument falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You can take these superficial similarities and make something where there's nothing.
That's a good place to end, where it's 8:58, and so I think that might be an interesting lesson that we've taken out of the Torah today. Is a healthy dose of skepticism, even on really good arguments, is very important, right?
Mark Gilmore pointed out secular Christmas is a Jewish holiday. Well, yeah, I mean, they're celebrating the birthday of a Jew, so
there you go.
But it really wasn't the birthday of the Jew. The actual day was Saturnalia, which was a Roman pagan holiday that they just said, you know what? We're going to say that our man was born today so that we can run competition with the followers of Mithraism, which...
Well, Faith has a lot to say about that. I know she does. She's given some really good talks about that.
Faith can take it, and she can run with that one, because
she's fantastic.
Her knowledge
and I want everyone to start watching her show, okay? Yeah. Faith, I'm unmuting you. You need to tell everyone more about your show, please. Okay?
I'm already unmuted.
Okay, good. Can you...
Thank you.
Yeah, this is an opportunity. I would like to... Yeah. Can you...
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell everyone?
Sure, it's the magical alternative, and it's well, you can find it on my YouTube channel, Shadow W Witch. It's also on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV. It's a late night talk show that focuses on the magical, and you've been on several times. I think you were on my very first episode, weren't you?
I think so.
Well,
But
you know
isn't
what?
it the only occult show on Roku, right? It's for your like.
Ah, honestly, I don't. I mean, we have Roku, but I don't really watch it, so I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. It's probably the only late night talk show made by witches for witches about magical people and magical concepts. But this actual episode we're going to be taping this Thursday, that hopefully you and Rabbi McLashley will be on this month, is going to be 2 years, our
Oh,
24th episode, and which is really cool. So I'm really
it
excited
is.
about that.
And
Yeah.
everyone should know it's been endorsed by the Evangelical Association of America. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's
Man,
it's
Well,
it's
Faith
actually
was
filmed.
just
Yeah.
at a multi-religious interfaith uh um
The service. Yeah,
service, and
yeah,
she
for
got to.
Thanksgiving at a synagogue.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. At a conservative synagogue. It was really cool. That was really, really nice. They had imams from the Muslim faith. They had those from the Baha'i faith. They had Methodists, Catholics. Me. They had
Yeah,
everybody.
and
It
you
was
were a
really cool.
little nervous about how they would welcome you, but they did,
Yeah.
right? With open
Well,
arms.
the rabbi has always been really nice to me. He's really cool. I mean, I always go on December 25th for the Chinese buffet because I don't celebrate Christmas. So they're always really awesome to me. But yeah, everybody was really, really, really awesome. I mean,
Well,
but
good.
I mean, I got up and, I ran my little prayer by you, and, you know,
It was
um,
beautiful.
I was the only one that actually like wrote my own thing. Everybody got up there and they're like, well, I'm gonna read from Isaiah, such and such. I'm gonna read from the book of John. I'm gonna read from the book of Mark. And I'm thinking, hey, I had to write my own thing. You got,
I'm
like they
going
were
to read from
cheating.
the book of faith.
I don't know about that, but it was nice. It was fun. So, but yeah, so I don't know how we can get the link out there to everyone, but yeah, I've got a number of episodes that you've been so gracious to be on. So I
Well,
thank you
go.
so much.
Everybody should go on to Enchantment's Facebook, right? It'll be on your
Yeah,
Facebook page. They can get
that's
to it.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. And if you look on like Roku, it'd be under Community Voice Channel, Bolton, Connecticut. It's public access, but it's in a 4K studio, and it's really fun. We
Right.
love doing it. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Lila Tove, everyone. Good
Lila
night.
good
Toe.
night.
Have a
All
good
right.
night. Thank you.